Be me, 32-year-old feminist, devoted the last decade to examining patriarchal structures, have read every piece of feminist theory, from Dworkin to Hooks to Solanus, finally understand how deeply the misogyny runs in our society. It's not just about individual men, it's about the entire system. The whole thing needs to be dismantled, brick by brick. And I'm going to be one of the women doing it. Work at a tech company as a project manager, one of only 3 women in a department of 20 people. Classic example of how men gatekeep STEM fields. Doesn't matter that I chose humanities in college. That's actually because of socialization anyway. Girls are taught from birth that math and science aren't for them. I could have been an engineer if society hadn't failed me. Every morning, I come into the office ready to challenge the status quo, wearing my "The future is female" shirt, have pins all over my bag with various feminist slogans. Smash the patriarchy. Nevertheless, she persisted, men are trash, etc. Need to make sure everyone knows where I stand. Silence is complicity after all. Sit down at my desk next to Derek. Derek is your typical tech bro. Always talks about video games and sports. Probably has never read a single book about feminism in his entire life. He's perfectly polite to me, but that's actually a red flag. Performative niceness is how men hide their underlying misogyny. Derek says, "Good morning." I don't respond. I'm not going to engage in emotional labor for men anymore. Women have been expected to be pleasant and smiley for too long. It's not my job to make him comfortable. Check my email and see a message about a team meeting. Great, another opportunity for men to talk over me. I've been tracking it actually, made a spreadsheet of every time I get interrupted in meetings. It happens at least 5 times per meeting. But when I bring it up, suddenly I'm being divisive. Classic Darvo: deny, attack, reverse, victim, and offender. Meeting starts at 10 a.m. I come prepared with statistics about how our company's gender pay gap, got the numbers from Glassdoor, and some educated guessing. Even if they're not exact, they represent a larger truth. Women are paid less, period. That's a fact. Boss starts talking about Q3 projections. I raise my hand. He calls on me. Before we continue, I think we need to address the elephant in the room. This company has a serious problem with gender equity. I've calculated that women here make approximately 15 to 20% less than men. And before anyone says it's about experience or qualifications, that's just internalized misogyny. The room goes quiet. Derek shifts uncomfortably. My boss, Richard, sighs. He's sighed at me before when I've brought up feminist issues. That sigh is dripping with condescension. It says, "Here she goes again," without words. Microaggression at its finest. "We've discussed this before," Richard says. "Our salaries are based on experience, role, and negotiation." That's literally the problem. I shoot back. Women are socialized not to negotiate. The fact that you use negotiation as a factor is inherently sexist. You're punishing women for the way patriarchy has conditioned us. You can see several men rolling their eyes. Mark actually looks at his phone. The disrespect. This is what women deal with every single day. We speak truth to power, and men just tune us out. "Can we please get back to the quarterly projections?" Richard asks. "No, we can't just get back to it," I say, voice rising. "This is more important than your projections. If this company is built on the oppression of women, then what's the point? We need to dismantle these structures before we can move forward." Richard pinches the bridge of his nose. "Your concerns are noted. Let's discuss this after the meeting." That's what you always say. You're trying to silence me. You can't handle a woman challenging your authority. Meeting continues. But I don't pay attention. Too busy screenshotting the interaction in my mind for my blog, I run a blog about workplace misogyny. Have about 200 followers. Mostly other radical feminists who understand the struggle. We share stories and validate each other's experiences. After meeting, I go to the break room. Several male co-workers are there. They stop talking when I walk in. They were obviously talking about me. Men always gossip about women who threaten them. I decide to address it head on. "I know you were talking about me." Derek looks uncomfortable. We were actually talking about the football game. Sure you were. Let me guess, you all think I'm crazy. You think I'm some hysterical feminist who sees sexism everywhere. Well, guess what? Sexism is everywhere. It's baked into every interaction, every structure, every institution. Mike, another coworker, holds up his hands. Look, nobody thinks you're crazy. We just want to do our jobs without everything becoming a political debate. My existence is political. I'm practically shouting now. As a woman in a male-dominated field, I don't have the luxury of not being political. Your comfort is not more important than my liberation. And the fact that you think it is just proves my point. The men exchange glances. Derek quietly leaves the break room. Then Mike follows. Then the others. They're literally walking away from me. This is what silencing looks like. They can't handle the truth, so they just leave. I'm shaking with anger. Post about it in my feminist Discord server. Get immediate support. Men are such fragile babies. They can't handle being challenged. This is why we need women-only spaces. Feel validated. Over the next few weeks, I notice a pattern. Whenever I enter a room, conversations stop. When I try to engage men in discussions about patriarchy, they make excuses to leave. Oh, I have a meeting. Sorry, I need to focus on this deadline. I'm heading out to lunch. It's so blatant. They're freezing me out. This is a classic tactic used against women who speak up. If they can't silence us directly, they exclude us socially. Creates a hostile work environment. Might actually be illegal, need to check. Try to talk to Derek about it. Derek, can I ask you something? I've noticed people have been avoiding me. Do you know anything about that? Derek looks uncomfortable. Won't make eye contact. I don't know what you mean. I think everyone's just been busy. Don't gaslight me, Derek. I know what gaslighting is, and I'm not, he starts. You're literally doing it right now, making me question my own perception of reality. That's textbook gaslighting. Derek just stands up and walks away. Doesn't even make an excuse, just leaves. I shout after him. You can't run from the truth forever. Go to HR. Ask to speak to someone about workplace discrimination. The HR rep is Linda, another woman. Surely she'll understand. Explain the situation. Tell her how men are, avoiding me, excluding me, refusing to engage with me. Tell her about the pay gap I calculated. Tell her about how I get interrupted in meetings. Tell her about the hostile work environment. Linda listens patiently, taking notes. When I'm done, she says, I appreciate you bringing this to my attention. However, I need to ask, have you considered that your approach might be contributing to the tension? Cannot believe what I'm hearing. Are you seriously victim blaming me right now? You're another woman. You should understand. This is internalized misogyny, Linda. You've been conditioned to uphold patriarchal standards of behavior. Women are expected to be nice and quiet and not rock the boat. Well, I refuse to comply with that. Linda's expression becomes more professional, colder. I'm not victim blaming. I'm trying to find a resolution. But if your coworkers feel harassed or uncomfortable, they feel uncomfortable? What about me? I'm the one dealing with sexism every single day. I'm the one being excluded and silenced. From what you've described, it sounds like your coworkers are simply choosing not to engage in political discussions at work. That's their right. You can't force people to debate with you. Actually shaking with rage now. So you're taking their side. You're protecting the patriarchy. This is exactly why HR exists. To protect the company, not the workers. Especially not women workers. Storm out of Linda's office. She calls after me, but I ignore her. Traitor. She's probably sleeping with one of the executives anyway. That's how women like her get ahead. By playing along with men's rules. That evening, vent about it on Twitter. Quote, tweet some MRA account with, "This is what male fragility looks like." Tweet about how even other women uphold the patriarchy. Tweet about how exhausting it is to be constantly fighting. Get into an argument with someone who says, I sound difficult to work with. Difficult? Women who challenge the status quo are always called difficult. Suffragettes were called difficult. Civil rights activists were called difficult. I'm in good company. Block about 15 accounts that night. Mostly men, but a few women too. The women are worse, honestly. At least men are openly the enemy. These women are pretending to be feminists, while tone policing and defending patriarchy, next day at work, decide to try a new approach, was going to kill them with kindness. Show them that I can be pleasant while still holding my ground. This will prove that their avoidance isn't about my tone. See Derek in the hallway. Hey, Derek. How was your weekend? He looks startled. It was good. You? It was great. I went to a feminist workshop about dismantling masculine hegemony. Really interesting stuff about how masculinity is a social construct designed to enforce patriarchal power structures. You should come with me sometime. I think you'd learn a lot. Derek's eyes widen. I have a meeting. Sorry. He practically speed walks away. Fine. Derek is a lost cause. Try with some other co-workers. Same result. They all suddenly remember important things they need to do. In the afternoon, there's a team lunch. Someone ordered pizza. I arrive at the conference room where everyone's gathered. Conversation is flowing. People are laughing. I walk in, and the energy shifts. Not immediately silent, but noticeably more subdued. Sit down. Grab a slice. So what are we talking about? Mike says, just the game last night. Oh, sports, I say. You know, professional sports are actually a really good example of toxic masculinity. The way we glorify violence and aggression, the rampant sexism in sports culture, not to mention the cheerleaders. Literal objectification of women for male entertainment. Silence. Actual, complete silence. Everyone is just eating their pizza, staring at their plates. Hello? Did everyone hear me? Tom, who rarely speaks, says quietly, We heard you, then continues eating. So you're just going to ignore what I said? We're not ignoring you, Mike says. We're eating lunch. We can do both, I counter. Or are you incapable of having an intellectual discussion while eating? Sarah, one of the other women in the department, speaks up. Maybe we could just have a relaxing lunch without getting into heavy topics? Even Sarah is against me now. The personal is political Sarah. There's no such thing as a relaxing lunch under patriarchy. Our very existence is shaped by these systems. Sarah just shakes her head and goes back to her pizza. I eat in silence. Furious silence. They're using the silent treatment as a weapon. They know it upsets me, so they're doing it deliberately. Psychological warfare. Finish my slice and leave. Hear the conversation pick back up immediately after I'm gone. They're not even trying to hide it anymore. Over the next month, the situation gets worse. Men literally turn around and walk the other way when they see me coming. In meetings, if I speak, I'm met with, okay, noted, and then they move on. No engagement, no argument, no discussion. Just acknowledgement and dismissal. It's making me insane. How can I educate people if they won't even argue with me? How can I challenge their beliefs if they won't defend them? They're denying me the opportunity to prove them wrong. Start sending long emails to the entire department. Detailed breakdowns of patriarchal theory. Explanations of how our workplace perpetuates sexism. Links to articles and studies. Reading lists. Nobody responds. Not a single reply. It's like I'm shouting into the void. Try a different approach. Start leaving printed articles on people's desks. Stuff about male privilege, toxic masculinity, the gender pay gap. Find them in the trash later. Actually in the trash. My carefully curated educational materials. Thrown away like garbage. Confront Derek about it. Found one of my articles in the recycling bin, near his desk. Did you even read this before throwing it away? I skimmed it, he says. And I don't really have anything to say about it. You don't have anything to say about the systematic oppression of women? Nope. Nothing at all? Nothing at all. He's looking at me with this blank expression. Not angry, not defensive. Just blank. It's infuriating. You're a coward. I tell him, you know I'm right, but you're too invested in your male privilege to admit it. If you say so, he responds. Argue with me. I'm yelling now. Tell me I'm wrong. Defend yourself. I don't want to, Derek says calmly. That's your choice, but it's not mine. And he walks away, nearly crying with frustration. post about it on my blog. Men have found a new way to silence women, refusing to engage. They won't argue because they know they'll lose. So instead they simply opt out, pretending our concerns don't exist. This is violence, intellectual violence, emotional violence. Get a few supportive comments, but also get some criticism, even from other feminists. Maybe you need to reconsider your approach. You catch more flies with honey. Have you thought about why people don't want to engage with you? Block them all. They're not real feminists. Real feminists don't tone police. Real feminists understand that anger is justified, that things come to a head at the next all-hands meeting. CEO is talking about company culture, going on about collaboration and mutual respect. I raise my hand. He pretends not to see me. Raise it higher. He calls on someone else. I stand up anyway. Excuse me, but I have something to say. CEO looks annoyed. We'll have time for questions at the end. This can't wait. This company has a serious problem with sexism, and everyone is ignoring it. I have been trying for months to start a dialogue about these issues, and I've been met with nothing but silence and avoidance. The men here refuse to even engage with feminist ideas. They're creating a hostile work environment through exclusion and dismissal. The room is dead silent. Probably 60 people staring at me. CEO says, I appreciate your passion, but this isn't the appropriate forum. When is the appropriate forum? I demand. I've tried HR, I've tried emails, I've tried one-on-one conversations. Nobody will listen to me. People are listening, the CEO says. They're just not agreeing with you, and that's their right. So you're saying it's their right to uphold patriarchy? Their right to benefit from sexist systems? Their right to silence women? I'm saying it's their right not to participate in debates they don't want to have. You can share your views, but you cannot force others to engage with them. And from what I understand, your approach has been quite aggressive. Aggressive? I'm passionate. Women are always called aggressive when we show any emotion. Men can yell and pound tables and they're showing leadership. But when a woman raises her voice, suddenly she's aggressive and hysterical. Can feel myself getting emotional. Tears starting to form, which will only make this worse. Crying woman equals irrational woman in their eyes. I think we should table this discussion, CEO says. I'm happy to meet with you privately to address your concerns. Private meetings change nothing. This needs to be public. Everyone needs to hear this. Linda, from HR, stands up. Why don't we take a break? She's walking toward me, trying to escort me out, trying to remove the angry woman so everyone can go back to comfortable ignorance. Shake her off. Don't touch me. Walk out on my own. At least I have that dignity. Go to the bathroom and cry. Not sad crying. Angry crying. Frustrated crying. Why won't anyone listen? Why won't anyone engage? Why won't anyone argue? Look at myself in the mirror. Mascara running. Face red. Eyes wild. Take out my phone. Start composing a tweet. Being a radical feminist in a male-dominated workplace is like screaming into a void that occasionally sighs at you. But I stop before posting. Something about seeing myself in the mirror. The wild eyes. The desperation. When did arguing with people become my entire identity? When did I start measuring my success by how much I could provoke? Think back over the last few months. Every interaction has been about feminism. Every conversation has been about patriarchy. Every moment has been about the fight. But what have I actually accomplished? Have I changed anyone's mind? Have I made anything better? Have I improved anyone's life, including my own? Or have I just made myself miserable and alienated everyone around me? The thought is uncomfortable. Immediately want to reject it. That's just internalized misogyny talking, trying to make me doubt myself, trying to make me more palatable, trying to make me smaller. But is it? Think about my co-workers. Derek, who was always polite until I started calling him a misogynist. Mike, who tried to set boundaries and I called it silencing. Sarah, who just wanted a peaceful lunch. Linda, who was trying to help and I accused her of betrayal. Think about the pay gap I calculated. I didn't actually have access to anyone's salary information. I just assumed based on what exactly? my feelings, my ideology. Think about the meetings. Did people interrupt me because I'm a woman? Or did they interrupt me because I was derailing every discussion to talk about feminism? Think about the articles I left on desks. If someone left unsolicited political material on my desk every day, would I read it? Or would I find it intrusive and annoying? Oh God, oh no. Have I become the thing I hate? Have I become an oppressor in my own way, forcing my views on people who didn't ask for them, treating every boundary as an attack, treating every disagreement as violence? But the patriarchy is real. Sexism is everywhere. I'm not wrong about that, but maybe. Maybe I've been wrong about how to handle it. Maybe screaming at individual men who are just trying to do their jobs isn't dismantling patriarchy. Maybe leaving passive-aggressive articles on people's desks isn't education. Maybe interpreting every social cue as a microaggression isn't awareness. It's paranoia. Slide down the bathroom wall. Sitting on the floor now, as really crying. I isolated myself. I made it impossible for anyone to be around me. And then I blamed them for leaving. I picked fights and then got angry when people wouldn't fight back. I demanded constant emotional labor from others while refusing to do any myself. Derek saying good morning wasn't performative niceness. It was just niceness. Mike wanting to enjoy his lunch wasn't protecting patriarchy. It was just wanting to eat pizza in peace. Linda suggesting I reconsider my approach wasn't internalized misogyny. It was actual advice from someone who was trying to help, and the men refusing to argue with me. They weren't silencing me. They were protecting themselves, setting boundaries, which is something I claim to support. You can't force liberation. You can't bully people into consciousness. You can't rage someone into agreement. I thought I was fighting the patriarchy, but really, I was just fighting everyone, fighting constantly, making everything a battle, and then wondering why I was alone on the battlefield. All those tweets, all those blog posts, all those Discord messages. I was seeking validation for my anger, not actually trying to make things better. The feminism I was practicing wasn't about liberation. It was about superiority. It was about being right. It was about having an excuse to be cruel and call it justice. Real feminism is supposed to be about equality, about understanding, about building bridges, about making the world better for everyone. What I was doing, that wasn't feminism. That was just rage with a political label. Stand up, wash my face, look at myself again. I've wasted months, poisoned relationships, made myself miserable, all while convinced I was doing something righteous. The patriarchy is real, but I can't fight it by becoming a tyrant myself. I can't dismantle oppression through oppressing others, even if I call it education, even if I call it consciousness raising, even if I convince myself it's for their own good. Nobody was humiliating me. I was humiliating myself by making my entire identity about conflict, by seeing enemies everywhere, by refusing to see my own role in my isolation. Men refusing to argue with me wasn't an attack. It was the natural consequence of making myself unpleasant to be around. It was them doing exactly what they should do, setting boundaries with someone who was being hostile. Take a deep breath. I need to apologize. To Derek, to Mike, to Sarah, to Linda, to everyone I've harangued and lectured and accused. I need to actually listen instead of just waiting for my turn to educate. I need to recognize that people are complex, that I don't have all the answers, that my pain doesn't give me permission to hurt others. I need to understand that feminism without compassion isn't feminism at all. It's just another hierarchy, with me trying to climb to the top by pushing everyone else down. Leave the bathroom. Still shaky but clearer. This is going to be hard. Admitting I was wrong. Changing how I interact with people. Actually building relationships instead of fighting wars. But maybe that's what actual activism looks like. Not the performance of it. Not the aesthetic of pins and slogans. but the hard work of connecting with people, even when they disagree. Especially when they disagree. Maybe the men refusing to argue with me were actually offering me a gift. The chance to see what I'd become. The chance to choose differently. Walk back to my desk. Derek is there. He sees me, and his expression becomes guarded. Derek, I say quietly, I owe you an apology. He looks surprised. Suspicious even. I've been unfair to you, to everyone. I've been so focused on fighting that I forgot about being human. I'm sorry. He doesn't say anything for a moment. Then, cautiously, okay, not forgiveness, not yet, but not walking away either. It's a start.